hell you don't.
No, I do not.
No,
I do not. Hey, everybody, I am Captain Tommy Scoville. You're on the lifeboat. My brother is an idiot. I love him, but he is something. I'm sorry, I was laughing right before we went live. I wanted to come on here and talk about my health. As I've said many times in the past, I think one of the cool things about the lifeboat is that I've been very, very open with a lot of people, and because I have been open with people, I think it creates a unique. I don't know. I think it creates a unique relationship back and forth between me and the people who are in the in the chat, and that's helped create something that I think is pretty special, man. I really do. I think that what we've got here is pretty cool. But I mean, I've been super, super honest with you guys about stuff that just sucks being honest with you about. You know, going back to when I was really young, I've laid everything out, man. I really have. And my health is something that I've been really honest about, the fact that there are big parts of my medical file I don't feel like sharing with everybody in the world. And the reason that I don't want to is because it changes the dynamic of the relationship between me and the audience, right? When the audience begins to worry or the audience begins to pity or any of the other things that happen when they're worried about you for specific health troubles, it changes the relationship. And sometimes that can be really bad, right? Sometimes it makes it so that the relationship you had isn't as good as it was, or just gets downright bad. So why, thank you, Jen. I think that in the best interest of everybody on this channel, and certainly in the best interest of me and my family, I'm not going to talk about my health on the lifeboat anymore. If something is coming up, I got a procedure or whatever, I'm a big believer in prayer. I'm a big believer in people sending positive thoughts and all of that, and I appreciate that. And that, sorry. Thank you, Layla. First time leaving a comment. I really appreciate that. And I'll take the love and the prayers. And I would like love and prayers from everybody. So if I've got something coming up, I've got a procedure or whatever coming up, I'm going to tell everybody about it because I'm going to want all of you pulling for me and all of that. But what I don't want is 6,000, opinions. And I'm sorry, that sounds awful, but there are so many people that have a relative that had something similar, or have a relative that, or they personally had something. And a lot of it's excellent, right? A lot of it is advice that I can use. Some of it is great advice, but not about the particular, ailment I have. But if it brings in 200 emails, right, from people that would like to help and give me advice, it is 200 emails that clog up a system where I'm trying to talk to people about things that are way more important than my health. I promise you, right? And and when I'm honest, right, when I'm really honest about things, it can get a little overwhelming. And if I'm honest and I say things like, I'm a little freaked out about this whole ablation thing, right? And it's, I've got, and by the way, some of you helped me in that direction. Do you know how many emails I got from people that said, good God, whatever you do, don't get ablation? You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell you the number of people who sent me an email to tell me they know someone who died from it. And I know every one of you mean absolutely the best. No one's doing this to be a jerk. Every one of you are doing this out of kindness and love. And I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the hell out of that. But I don't know if you can imagine what it's like to have that many people at once caring. So I'm going to limit the information that I have, that I give out to less specific information. If I'm coming up on a procedure or something like that, I will absolutely share that. I was so stressed out about going to this thing on Wednesday to go see the cardiologist. This is something that I am stressed out about, right? I really am. I'm just being really honest. And it's already out there, right? This is something I've already discussed. I'm stressed out about this one. And I said it to the point where someone who cares a lot about me said, I'm going to come on down there. I'm going to make sure you go to this. I have a feeling you won't, that kind of a thing. And Reese is a star, right? A really kind person. And then I had to say, no, you're not coming here. And I didn't say that because I don't want her here. Because to be really honest with you, I think I would love to have her here. I really would. I would love to have gone in there with her. I think that would have been a much easier scenario for me. I would have loved that. That would have been support. That would have been great. And you know what? There were so many filthy thoughts, right? Not for me, but the number of people that freaked out about that, the number of people that just lost it on that, in the middle of my health scare, I'm trying to get laid, right? It's pretty vicious. It really is. So I'm gonna do what's best for me. I promise. I have no death wish. Right? I don't. I have a desire to live a very long and prosperous remainder of my time on this planet. Sweet tea and everybody else, I will tell you something. We got a call today from the people that where we have our address that said, "Oh boy, there are enough packages here where the door won't open," kind of a thing. What happened was there was not a proper way to tell us. In theory, we were supposed to get an email every time something showed up there. So we were like, "Oh, you know what? Nobody has sent anything." And then the email thing kicked in today, and I phoned down there and said, "We probably can't make it today, but we're going to head on down." And the person said, "You might want to bring a truck." Kidding, but there are a lot of packages down there. So if you sent us something, I would imagine I'm going to be needing to do a very long thank you video tomorrow or the next day, but we're going to go pick all of that up tomorrow. So thank you to anybody who has sent anything, and we're going to see all of that here shortly. So I'm sure that it looks really, I'm sure that a lot of people think I'm a jerk for telling Reese that I didn't want her to come down here. I just don't need it. I love you guys, and I care about her to the point where I'm not going to have people saying that she's coming down here for reasons other than anything. It's not. I'd rather go in there alone, and I'd rather face it alone. And that sucks, doesn't it? It really does. That sucks. But that's the net, right? And that's one of the things is if you put yourself out there, man, and that's I put myself out there, and I knew that a long time ago. And you know what? I don't look at trolls. I don't do any of that crap. I have cleared my life of looking at negative things that people write about me. What happened in this time is that these are my people, right? These are subscribers. These are family members that are telling me this stuff. So it has an effect, and that's probably tainted a lot of this in terms of the health decision too, about keeping stuff to myself. I think from it's the sad part of what we do, and there's so much really good about what we do that I love this. I do. I love sitting in front of the camera, and I love doing this. And I have friends that are creators. Not my brother, by the way, but I know some big creators, people that have huge audiences, and they hate them. I'm not kidding. You when there's nobody around and you hear them talk about them, you just go, "What are you? You're kidding me." You know what I mean? Like I'll make a comment about emails or something, and someone will go, "Are you kidding, dude? I'd rather die. I'm not taking an email from anybody." And I just sit there and go, "You got to be kidding." What I came to realize is, though, none of them started that way. No creator starts that way, right? But what happens is you start out and you get these relationships and you love your audience. You literally build a relationship with them. And every time you're doing that, there's one or two people that don't love you, and it's a small voice or whatever. But then as the audience gets bigger, those one or two voices start getting loud, because it only takes 3 or 4 dozen to be a really loud, voice. And when those voices call you a home wrecker or some of the other lovely things that I've been called recently, or worse, the things that she's been called, right? Which is just disturbing. Right? We preach connection there on this channel. This was not a girl that was trying to sneak out of town to go meet somebody. She was telling the entire planet that she talked to her husband and was going to go see somebody. But I'll tell you what, the videos and everything else that would have come out, I don't care, right? My kids are adults. I'm a big guy, but I'm not doing that to her and a kid. I'm not doing that to her family. That's BS. I'm not doing it to her husband. And it's pretty friggin' sad, but that's the world, I guess, right? I'll take prayers. I'll take all of those you can get, right? I will take all of those you can get. I want a lot of them. I believe in those. And the more you bring, the better, right? The more you bring, the better. But I'm not, I'm never, ever going to be that guy. But you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to just read you the emails of all of the people that said really, really jacked up stuff and just read you their names, right? Because they're bold as crap when they send you emails. Because I don't read, I'll read a person's email. I never put someone on blast. I'll never give someone, I'll never say someone's name. And that does give people an opportunity to be, different people. But, I think the best advice people give in these situations, and you hear it all the time, is you really just need to do what's best for you. And I think that that's probably the best piece of advice. And if you happen to have family, then you really need to take that into account as well. Sorry. So, that's what it is. And, but that's, going forward, I really dig all of you. I do. I dig all of you. And I guarantee you, right, that one at a time, there never would be an issue because you're all fantastic people. But this happens anytime that there is a group, right? When you get a group and that group is large, it just doesn't take a whole lot to disrupt that. And you know what? We probably were expecting way too much. For real. We were probably expecting way too much for someone, a married woman, to say, I'm going to go down and support a friend of mine that is a single male. That probably, and of course we play it up. We ham it up pretty good, right? Which doesn't help. But I think we were all pretty clear about what was really, happening or going on. But that was kind of disturbing, right? It was. And my Willow loves that sound. I have thick skin. I have thick skin. I really do. I don't like it when other people's skin get dinged. I'm not a big fan of that, right? Again, I signed up for all this. I did. Signed up for all this. However, I can control certain amounts of it, right? So we're just going to do it a little differently going forward, but that's not it's not the end of the world. It's not like 90% of what I talk about here is my health. We're just going to go back to business as usual on the boat. I'm going to get up tomorrow morning and I'm going to do the 5 o'clock boat. And we're going to go back to doing what we do. I'm doing better. I am, I've done a few shows called "Stay in Your Own Lane." It's one of my favorite topics. Honestly, it's one that I do all the time. Hold on one second. Sorry. You know what? Here's the thing. I don't want anyone thinking that, because I'm going to get emails now from people that go, "Hey, listen, don't listen to that." It is what it is, people. It is what it is. Excellent. I am looking forward to responding to you. I just saw a super chat go by. I was going into Best Buy the other day and was speaking to Spanx Calhoun on speakerphone. I was walking in the door and someone walking on the way out said, "Hey, Captain Tommy." And there's a content creator here in town. So looking forward to getting together and doing some stuff. Definitely there's some synergy there, right? People that are kind of pulling in the same direction. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I got a funny story to tell you guys. So this won't all be doom and gloom. This is a very funny story. So last night I went into to Target, or Target as we used to call it. I went into Target and was looking for some stuff, and a girl walked up to me who I would say was probably somewhere between 20 and 24, and was very, very attractive and very, very tan, and just looked like maybe a college cheerleader, right? I mean, that she sort of had that look, or certainly a young sorority girl. And she looked at me with that, I know this guy look. Like you see this if If you've ever seen someone that knows you, but they don't know why, like they've seen you on YouTube or they've seen you in a movie or something like that. And so I honestly, I kind of like to get away from those things, but this is a really young, I'm just kidding. But I looked over and she looked and started walking toward me and I went, oh boy. She walked up. I said, hi. She goes, I know who you are. You're Scoville. I said, yeah, I'm Tommy. She goes, yeah, Tommy Scoville. I said, yeah. She goes, my mom watches you all the time. And I wish you could have watched it, right? Because, you see this person walk up and, it's puffed up a little bit and doing I was posed up, right? My mom watches you all the time. And I just sort of did that. Right, you could hear the air let out of me, and I went, "Oh, that's great! How cool!" Tell your mom I said hello. That's. I walked away and I thought, "Oh man, that could not be any worse." And then I reached out to a friend of mine who said to me, "Oh no, it could have been worse. She could have said, my grandmother never misses your show." And I said, that's probably going to happen really soon too. Yeah, that was. My mom watches you all the time. I thought, well, so you're not a fan, you're saying. Well, you know what? It is what it is. I actually really got a kick out of it. It's it could be worse. When she first started walking up, I was waiting for the "Aren't you Johnny Scoville?" That's the one I normally get. So 2 in one day that didn't think I was my brother is a victory. Maybe her mom is a hottie. You know what? I was that if the daughter was any indication, mom was a hottie. To be sure, if the apple did not fall from the tree, far from the tree, then mom was doing fantastic. But it was really, really funny. It's just one of those things that you shouldn't care kind of thing. But I'm old. He is watching now, right? Somebody, feel free to say in the comments section if that was your daughter. Boy, that's funny stuff though. That was just great. She's on TikTok watching William. Yeah. Right. Too funny. Thank you, Layla. That's a beautiful comment. I appreciate you. And you know what? I'll tell you something right now. 90% of what I get, and maybe even more than that, is just the most supportive and loving and beautiful stuff in the entire world. And then about 8% are people that really care in one way or another, but run so far with it, right? That I'm a home wrecker, or, it's all right to say, hey, are you serious with what you guys are doing? Or is it because, I'm worried, right? No one's ever going to take offense to that. Hey, you effing home wrecker might not be such a great approach. But then again, most people are not particularly kind, I guess. Thank you, Fire Nerd. Sweet tea. 53 is not old. I say that, because I'm 53. 53 is not old for a woman. It's just old for me. You know what I mean? City miles, people. I did not put these miles on the freeway. Sadly, I did this to I was not kind to myself in the first half century. Right? We're going to see what we can do on the next one. See, Kelly, you're fine too. Yes, as a matter of fact, that is what that means. Do all the trolls mean that you've made it? You know what? I say all the time. You know what? The only thing worse than having trolls is not having trolls, right? Because if you're not having some trolls, then you're probably not doing well. You want to hear something really interesting? I find this interesting anyway. Do you know of all of the people who have come out and accused me of whatever, right? Just insert your favorite accusation here. Of all of the people that hate me, of all the people that started channels because they hate me, of all that, I've not met one of them. Can you imagine? I've never met one of them. Right? Never talked to any of them. I have no interaction with these people. To me, I find that amazing. And the reason I say that is I have an ability to make people angry, like very few. But usually I got to know you to do that. That's not something I can usually pull off, from a distance. But there you have it, right? There you have it. The 70s was a great decade, to be sure. And I'll tell you something. For a lot of things, I find the 70s to be one of the greatest decades of all time. I really do. Some of the best watch designs that ever came out, the most iconic watches ever made, were made in the 70s. It was a great year for, a great decade for horology. Really great movies and films that came out of the 70s. Some of the great stuff. That was just a really good time, I think. And then you look back on it, and sadly, the fashions of the day often make an entire decade look silly, right? The mullet makes the 80s kind of look like, meh, right? You millennials will be dealing with the man bun. You wait. Be about 10 years from now, you'll all be looking back on, oh man, I rocked a man bun. Same way I gotta go, oh, I rocked a mullet. But there's something about bell bottoms and those collars. Hey, I still rock wingtips if you really want to know the truth. And I rock them in 2 colors. Black and white wingtips are my favorite things in the world. Honestly, that's good stuff. Thank you, Tampa. I promise I am going to be me in 2024. You have my word. I also have some good news. I give you my word. I also have some good news. First of all, can I get some ones for my brother and friend Alan Ballantyne? Alan is feeling under the weather. Can't keep anything down. Sadly, he said he has been vacating his stomach periodically for close to 20 hours now. So, some thoughts and prayers for Alan, who has booked his travel. He is officially coming over again to the United States. Lady J, I do not believe that is the truth. I was conceived in 69 too, Chris V. All of us 70 kids. I think that especially, depending on what time of the year. But yes, I was. Yes, I was. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. What a beautiful thing to say, huh? The mullet will not go away. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that happened. Wingtips are your jam? Yeah, I dig wingtips, man. The black and white ones, like, look, that's James Dean. That's Elvis. Think of all the guys that wore, two-tone wingtips. Jerry Lee Lewis. Yeah, the Killer really rocked them. I don't think every picture they got a Killer, he was wearing them, right? Wingtips, future ex-husband material. Mullets are making a comeback. No, I know they're not. I'm sorry. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. You're not going to make me believe that. Is there a photo of Tommy with a mullet? Oh, there's a photo of Tommy with a mullet. I'll make you a promise. I will bust out the photo of Tommy with the mullet, and I will do it tomorrow during one of the shows that I do tomorrow. And the bonus footage in this picture? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. A young Robert De Niro is standing next to me in the photo, also with a mullet. All right, I can't back that up. It's Johnny, but he looks so much like Robert De Niro when he was young. It was crazy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I have fixed. Here's the good thing about this, and I will answer this because it is a fun question. Let me see if I can find it. Where was the pocket watch question, Calhoun? Tell you what, you did. Calhoun, find me that pocket watch question, would you? Atypical Paul. You know what? Now Atypical Paul is backing up 2 other people. Apparently, mullets are making a comeback. I'm sick about this. Have you ever fixed a Montana Silversmith's pocket watch? Not specifically. Now, what I will say is this: the guts of a pocket watch only come in about 3 varieties. So, depending on who makes it, right? There's going to be like a 5 lever, a 3 lever, right? There's just a couple of really basic designs for pocket watches, and unless it's a minute repeater, right, or something that is really super high tech, if it's a If it's a chronograph, right? If it's a chronographs or moon phases, anything that's like super complicated on top of just a normal, 3 to 4 function watch, then that's probably different. I usually don't like to touch those. But if it's a watch that keeps hours, minutes, and seconds, I promise you there's not one I can't fix, especially if it's a pocket watch, because they're this big, right? And for a guy like me, that's a really big watch to work on. They are so much fun to work on because they're huge. All of the parts. I mean, they still look really small, but I work on, women's watches from the 30s, where if you're not wearing 120 times magnification on your eyes, you can't even see the parts you're working with. It is a challenge. Pocket watches are great. I knock them out very, very quickly, and they are a lot of fun to work on. And I am particularly into restorations on them. So I went back and bought parts that are new old stock for basically every American watch manufacturer of all time. See, there it is. Thank you, Calhoun. That is actually my senior picture. So there I am, 1988, with the mullet and even the side things. You may think that's Joe Dirt. Dirte. That's not. That's actually Mrs. Miller's kid there, and back in 1988. Things have changed. Now I've if I grow my hair out now, I can actually rock the bullet. You know what I'm talking about? The bullet. That's the bald mullet where you just sort of have that really. It's the George Carlin is what. When I grow my hair out, I look wicked like Carlin. It's terrible. Don't get me wrong. I loved Carlin. I just don't know that I want to look like him. You know what I mean? Aquanet. Let me tell you something about Aquanet. I saw a man drink 2 bottles of it once. It was one of the most frightening things I ever saw. Just terrible. Joe Dirt. I'm sorry. Dirte is that was an excellent film. That was a movie I got a lot of laughs out of, to be honest. That this shirt looks like a bank robber shirt. No.
Sprockets, baby.
No, this is the time on Sprockets where we dance. Someone will get a kick out of that. Is our resident Seinfeld expert in the hizzy? Huh? Oh, I have a bunch of silly watches. Oh no. I have a bunch of silly watches as well, Rick Spicer. I do. I have a bunch of them. And I am a fan. I'll tell you something. Character watches.
Tell Spicer he's in a list of people that I'm responding to. I haven't gotten back to him yet, but I will.
Oh, my brother says you are on a list of people he needs to get back to. Right? That's very cool. Depending on the old-timey clock, there are clocks I have. There are clocks I will be happy to refurbish and work on. There are some I will not, and it depends on the movement.
Say old-timey?
Yeah, old-timey, which I love the term old-timey. I mean, you had me at old-timey, right? For real, you had me at old-timey. It just smacks of the movie "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
It does. It does indeed.
And I am a big fan of "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" Nico says, I was 3 when you had a mullet. That hurts. That hurts. I have ring watches. Ring watches are still manufactured by a couple of, there are a couple of watches there are a couple of companies rather that still make ring watches. Believe it or not, if you got the money, you can still get one from Cartier. That really is a great, that's funny. And that really, that's it right there, isn't it? Doesn't that sum it up? What does that say? Now I have to drink water. I'm going to mute this so that you don't hear what Johnny Scoville gets so upset about every single time I do this. Hold on. And I'm back.
Woo!
Yeah, Johnny just loves that. He really does. But I'm trying to hydrate people. I have come to the conclusion that the most important thing in my life is the consumption of water, and that I need to do that as much as humanly possible. Right? I really need to keep my water up. You know what really bummed me out too is that for the first maybe 8 hours that I was in that hospital, they didn't give me a thing to drink, and they did not run any IV fluids. That really bummed me out. You have a Swatch ring watch? That's rare. That really is. That is a rare thing. And the people that collect swatches, depending on which one you have, the people that collect those are vicious collectors. Do you know that Swatch is the largest manufacturer of watches on the planet? That is the biggest watch company in the world. Hey, Lisa, good to see you. Thank you. Yeah, no IV fluids, right? That kind of made me wonder what the heck is going on. They did hook me up to an IV, but all they were giving me was like the digitalis stuff. That's all they were giving me. 10 10 milliliters or 10 cc's or whatever an hour. That's it on an infuser. There was nothing else. There was no IV fluids, which I think is really odd. And they had to use the ultrasound to get to run an IV. If you're going to run an IV and you're going to use an ultrasound to do it, why would you put it in the bend of my arm, right? Where it's going to be all day long. It hurts so bad. You know, they went literally right in the bend. So every time you moved your arm, the alarm went off. I mean, damn, dude, run the thing in my forearm. And I said to him, is there a reason we're doing this in the bend of my arm? He's like, you know what? I have a lot more success here. I'm like, you got a machine that finds the damn vein. Right? I don't know. He was a nice guy too. I didn't have a problem with him. It wasn't a great water. What is this thing you speak of? Oh no, don't be that man. Don't be that man or woman. That's all bad. You can't do that. You can't do that. Water is your friend. IV is usually the first thing they do. Yeah, well, I kind of feel like, it's amazing, people, you'll get a kick out of this. Guess what I got today? I got a text message that said, we would like to know about your experience at TMC. Would you be willing to take our survey? And I said, oh, I'd be willing to take your survey. So I did. I took their survey. And you know what I did? I was super honest. And almost every single person that I dealt with was a sweetheart or a gent. For real, almost everybody, except one of the cardiologists who had a vicious kind of like a European accent. I think there was a hint of, like, he spoke great English, but there was a hint of an accent. And I couldn't tell if it was German. I thought it might be German. Sometimes Swiss sounds a little like that to me too. But it was I was kind of salty. You have an old Timex that has a mouse in the middle and a cat on the second hand. I'm 56, which will make it 52 years old. Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'll tell you something. Timex is a very unusual brand. Like, people that work on watches will normally not work on Timex because of how they're put together. But the people who love Timex are more rabid about their watches than Rolex people or Patek people or anything else. I have a collection of like 1970, early 1980 Timex watches that were never taken out of the box. They're new old stock, never been worn, still have the price tags on them, all that. And they're 40 or 50 years old and brand new. And they're just really, really cool watches to look at. I will probably keep one. I'm selling them, but I will probably keep one to just occasionally bust out and wear, because there's not much. Their styles were the best, honest to God, the best of the generation. In the 70s, nobody made cooler looking watches than Timex. That's the truth. But they didn't have any jewels in them. The reason they were unbreakable is because the pins went into metal. It was metal on metal. And you couldn't break one. You could throw it against the wall, pick it up, and keep running. Trouble is, after about 2 years of running, that metal on metal would hew out and the watch would be, lose 4 or 5 minutes a day, plus or minus, and they kind of wear out. But the designs were just amazing. They had the best ad campaigns of anything that has ever sold anywhere. Nothing has ever been that cool. We're going to take this watch and put it on the end of a, hold that thought. Pull that thing back, let it go, right? And they would shoot the watch through a plate glass window into a pool, right? Or they would put it on the propeller of an outboard motor and kick the thing up to 3,000, RPM. There were great commercials, really great commercials. You could not break them. Take a licking, but keep on ticking. I have the original Texas Instrument LCD watch. That LCD stands for liquid crystal display. I sold a original Texas Instruments LCD watch in the box with papers last year for $4,000. True story. I found it in a thrift store and got it for damn near next to nothing. I mean, comparative. They didn't think it was next to nothing. They thought I was paying a lot of money for it, but considering what I sold it for, I didn't pay much for it. Those watches are super collectible. They are super popular with the hipster crowd. They sell that quick. If you put them up, they go very, very fast. Tag watches come in two varieties, right? Tag makes great watches, but old tags are ridiculously great watches. Like the tags of the 70s are some of the most collectible watches in the world. They are really some of the most collectible watches in the world. If you have the original ones, they're worth, I mean, ungodly money, six figures. Yeah, they're and I still have a collection of that style watch too, the LCDs. I have the watch from Moonraker, the watch that James Bond wore in Moonraker, and I have that boxed and papered, inner outer box, full set. I mean, the best example of it on earth. It's never been worn, never been taken out of the box. The guy bought it the day the movie premiered and put it in the safe, and I bought it in a collection of other watches. But it is the coolest. I actually I advertised it that it's never been on a wrist because it literally never has. When he photographed it, we didn't even put it on a wrist so that the first person who owns it. But I can't tell you how tempted I am to wear that one. It is the coolest digital watch that's ever been made. It is, I mean, hands down. You know, the digital watches are so hard to set. You know, you gotta push in the little buttons and do all that. This one has a winding crown. So you stick your finger into the winding crown and pull it out, and then everything starts to adjust. It was genius. And the reason that was there is that he used it in the movie to do something. Right, so they had to put it on the watch, but I've never seen any other digital watch do it. My Invicta is the same opinion, right? Invicta comes in two kind of varieties too, and the Invictas of 100 years ago are some of the most collectible,
far wider gap
watch. Yep, just a very, very popular watch. And really, really valuable. I mean, they're the Invictas of the early 20s and 30s. Some of them fetch, 10 grand. There's some very, very collectible watches in that collection. The newer stuff, the designs are gorgeous. They have some quality control issues. And that's because I have, yes, they aren't made as well as correct. There are quality control issues. I have found a bunch of people that have asked me to repair them, and it kind of makes me nervous. And very often it has to do with water getting into them. So I would say that if you buy one, the designs are great. I just would not trust, I would not trust the waterproof. Movado is another watch company that's been around for 1 million years. I do not like Apple Watches. I do not like Apple Watches. I don't like them because there aren't gears inside turning. When I don't have believe it or not, I don't have a pocket watch here. If I did, I would open it and show it to you. But when you see the balance wheel go back and forth on the inside of a pocket watch, it's like a beating heart to me, right? That's a mechanism that lives and breathes. And, to me, there's something very romantic about the mechanical watch. There are a lot of parts that are moving in there to make that stuff happen, and there's no battery and, it's just technology. I mean, the oldest watch I have, in my collection now, but at one point I had a watch that was 240 years old and wind it up and it did exactly what it was designed to do 240 years ago. Still works. Now that doesn't happen very often. Yes, that is Johnny coughing. Johnny has asthma and he smoked a ton of pot for decades, and he just has that kind of a thing. I'm sorry. Yeah, he has his inhaler, and he should use it more than he does. Ratto is a fantastic watch company. I own a couple of really, really nice Ratto watches. I gave my best friend a Ratto watch for being my best friend. It is and their newest one is called Bioceramic. It's their brand new watch. I gave Alan Valentine one. It is a unbelievable watch. They're beautiful. And I gave Alan one. Daniel Craig was an amazing James Bond. I honestly think that put up that last one, Calhoun, because I didn't read it and I feel bad. Can you get it back? Crap, probably not. I hate to do that to you, Calhoun, but I didn't read that and I felt bad. I thought Daniel Craig, believe it or not, and I'm going to get a bunch of blowback from this, but I thought he was my favorite Bond. Yeah, I know. Most of you would probably say, the original Bond was the best, and I love him. I really do. And I loved Roger Moore, but I think that I read all of the books, right? And Daniel Craig is the best Bond to what Ian Fleming wrote about. Like that was Roger Moore was great. I love Roger Moore. And I love Sean Connery. But Sean Connery was campy. It's like Batman in the 1966 TV show versus, if you watch Daniel Craig and the first time he's Batman, the first time he's Bond, you see fear, right? There's no joking around. There's no shocking, none of those kind of things. Or, when the guy says, how do you want that? Shaken or stirred? Do I really look like I give a, whether I want the thing shaken or stirred? It was just different, right? It was different. And he was just very to the book. That's what the book was. This guy's a paid assassin. He really was not, I don't know, very, very, I really love him. You have a vintage Cartier small alarm pocket watch. Was told that it had been magnetized. Oh, yeah, you need it fixed. Yeah, it happens all the time. And it will absolutely screw your watch to the wall. On the bright side, it's not a very difficult fix. You just have to have the thing disassembled. And then each of the parts gets put through a demagnetizer, right? And then reassembled. It's a one-day job. It's not it will not cost you a fortune. But the fact that it is a Cartier small alarm pocket watch, it's worth whatever it costs to get fixed. That is a very valuable watch, super valuable watch. So I would get that fixed. Very, very, and beautiful stuff, man. Cartier, especially the old stuff. I love Cartier. And back to the other ones. Rado is a great, really a great watch company. Love their stuff. Movado's old stuff. I love their new stuff too. Their designs are gorgeous, but I'm really kind of a mechanical guy more than a quartz guy. But their old stuff, I've got a Movado in there. It's a triple date Movado that's probably 75, 85 years old. And it's just gorgeous. One of my favorite watches, actually. But I love Cartier. Now let me read this. Feel better, Tommy. I love your channel. Found you through AA Ron. I only follow his channels if I could see myself chatting with someone. Oh, in real life. That's a cool way to do it, isn't it? Huh? That's kind of a cool way. If I could see myself sitting down and rapping with the my favorite actor is Robert Descoville. Yeah, Robert Descoville. That's him. You've seen it. Yeah, Tag Hours they're a very solid watch. They get crapped on really badly by watch snobs. And the reason they do has nothing to do with quality. Their build quality is fantastic. The movements that they use inside, they use an ETA movement, right, which is an excellent movement. And they use it's a workhorse. They used to use it in Cartier and a lot of other watches, but the movements are indestructible. They make a great watch. The trouble is they advertise supermodels wearing their watches. They advertise race car drivers wearing their watches, and then they have a whole different group of athletes who are like surfers, and the purists thought Tag was a race car company, right? They were pure through and through a race car company, and it made those people super angry. And they started kind of a hate campaign against Tag. And so guys that do what I do tend to crap all over them. I like them. The first watch I bought for myself that was expensive was a Tag. And I bought it to celebrate, oddly enough, the health triumph. I was having some bad health troubles, and I had to go through a bunch of it was a long process to heal. And I said, when this healing is over, I'm going to go buy a watch. And I did. This is funny, actually. Johnny coughing. What a surprise. The guy eats flames, and I like him for it. Yeah, a lot of people like him for it. Central Jersey. Do you want to hear something just terrible, honestly? I don't know what this says about me. It just says that I'm from the Northeast, I think. But there's just something about a girl saying I'm from Central Jersey.
Right.
I don't know.
I'm the same way.
It's a bit of a turn on. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a bit of a turn on. I guess it's just a Northeast thing. I'm sorry. Jacquette Drost. There you go, my brother. The bird repeater. Yes. Bring it to me. Let me tell you something about Jacquette Drost. try to buy one. I mean, even if you have the money, you can't buy one. That is one of those very rare watch companies that just because you want one doesn't mean you can own one. It's a boutique watchmaker. Jacquet is some of the things they do, like the stuff that they do for women, is it's done like mosaic. They take very teeny, small little pieces of basically of different kinds of precious metal and glue this stuff in with like it ends up looking like stained glass. It's some of the most beautiful stuff you've ever seen, and it costs as much as a house. But if you say, I want one of those, they'll say, all right, we'll have one for you in about 8 years. And you can't say, well, this is the one I want, because they don't have a line of watches. He rolls out, a new line, and by the time you get to it, this is your turn to buy, they may roll out a 4-phase tourbillon, and it's going to cost you $3.5 million. Watches are just works of art. Yeah, they really are. It's exactly what they are. They're just works of art, and they're works of arts that move, right? They're works of arts that move and keep time. And yeah, and he happens to be a great designer. There are some that just show off, and they're not even. It's like you couldn't wear the watch, like MB&F, right? Bauer and his crew. Those people make watches that are millions of dollars, and they are incredible to look at. But you just would not want one in your wrist. Like they're these big domed things, and they're just, I mean, they're cool, and he's pushing horology and all of that, but it doesn't look like a watch, and it looks like it would be a real pain in the ass to have on your wrist carrying it around, like this big, huge dome thing. There's another one, Jacob and Company. Jacob and Co. makes watches where there's a derrick inside pumping oil, right? Or there's they got one that plays on strikers. When you hit a button, it plays all of the notes from The Godfather, right? And it does it on strikers. So you just hit the button on the side, and you hear the theme from The Godfather played on a piano, which is inside the watch. I mean, there are some really cool things, and you're showing off all the things you can do mechanically, right? Because anything that you do, like a little mechanical robot, it would be the same thing as the watchmakers. They're all built by the same kind of people. The Bugatti watch. Bugatti watches are made by 3 different companies. Bugatti has had 3 different companies work with them. Jacob and Co. was one. They did the Bugatti, but Bugatti rotates through. What was one of the other ones? Piagiani did a watch for them. A bunch of different people did it. Oh, you know who else did the most recent one? Tag. Tag has a watch for look up the Tag version. Tag's got a watch for them now. Pretty sure it's Tag. If not, it's Breitling, but that's the new one to go for them. They a lot of those car companies will shop around their name, but I think the one you're referring to is the one that looks just like the Bugatti Veyron. When you look at it, it's got the cylinder heads and all that in it. Very, very cool looking watch. But I think you can get them now on the gray market, but originally you had to buy the car to get it. And a bunch of people who bought the car ended up selling it off because they were watches or whatever. But Peugeot does make watches as well. I have flipped a bunch of Peugeot. Something about Peugeot. I find Peugeot watches in weird places, and I buy them and flip them. I think I sold 4 last year, maybe 5. That's the watch I want. Just for the record, if any of you are getting really silly, this is the watch I want. I want that watch. The Grand Complication from Patek Philippe, the 0001, sometimes also called the One. 8 million. I think that's francs, correct? That's not dollars. I believe that price right there should be in francs, if I'm not mistaken. Steve Molesky's home nurse needs prayers. Okay, let's we can fire that up. The other one that I would really like to own would be the Patek Grand Saunier, whatever what do we got? Oh, there we go. That is unbelievable. Is that not remarkable? Calhoun, see if you can pull up the Grand Saunier. It's a minute repeater, but it's a modern version of it. So it will play tunes for you, basically to tell you what time it is, so that you don't have to go through the whole process of turning on a light or doing whatever. You just pull down a little slide on the side and it goes din, 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 and that'll tell you what time it is. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. People, thank you for your patience with me. It's been a rough week. I've heard I'm buffering, and I've heard it from a couple of different people. You have a Beatles watch record on the face, turns with face cover. That's really cool, Rick. Anything Beatles, man. Anything Beatles, you cannot go wrong. Yes, that is a watch. That is an absolutely gorgeous watch. I honestly, people, I could sit and look at watches and very often do all day long, right? All day long. First of all, if it's a Gucci watch, it is expensive. I mean, the old Gucci watches are expensive, depending on what the model is. No, it's not expensive to fix. Send me an email and write watch in the subject matter. By the way, believe it or not, I am making huge headway on that. When I was in the hospital, I answered a bunch. I'm making headway on the emails. How about that? And I have an exploding pocket watch on my shoulder being held by the White Rabbit. I am preoccupied with time. I'm preoccupied with watches. I'm preoccupied with horology. And Alice most assuredly plays into that. The amount of times that time or the distortion of time is mentioned in Alice in Wonderland is incredible. The Mad Hatter's Tea Party, right? They're perpetually stuck in that tea party permanently for messing up time, right? Funny stuff. Very funny stuff. Inappropriate, you say? Oh, I love inappropriate. If I could reincarnate as a watch, which one would you like? If I could reincarnate as a watch, well, you know what? It would probably have to be the first chronograph ever. I think might be interesting to be as a timepiece. That's a pretty interesting one. Or you know what? No, I got it. The Abraham Louis Breguet's minute repeater. That would be the watch, right? The very first one ever. The cat invented it. And he did it before there was electricity. He did it before there were tools. He did it in the 1700s. Wrap your dome around that. Wrap your dome around that. In fact, there's nothing that we do with watches today that we didn't get from him, with very few exceptions. No joke. Like every single thing that's patentable in a watch was probably invented by Abraham Louis Breguet. The man was a stone cold beast. God, I love watches. Yeah, that's remarkable. I honestly could look at them forever. Do I only collect men's watches or do I have ladies' watches too? I have a gaggle of ladies' watches too. I probably have 150, somewhere in there, women's watches. How about the chronometer that was used to help navigation? Now, if you're talking about the very first one that was ever used, that was the chronograph I was referring to. And the original chronometer to be certified, when they took that out, they were giving $10,000 to the first person that could have it accurate within X number of minutes. Was going to get this $10,000, and they basically screwed them over in the process. It was all anyway. It took a very long time for the person to get paid because the monarchy was cheating on it and all of this. But yeah, without that's really what the accurate watch did, was give people the opportunity to sail without ending up on rocks and killing one another and things like that. You know what? I'm a fan. It's definitely something that it's funny, Geoplanet Jane. I know a lot of people who are into fountain pens. There's a big crossover between watches and fountain pens. I never got into it, but I have a very, very close friend in the watch game that is super, super into them. And
I know the guy who loved Mont Blanc.
yeah, he's got a bunch of. I almost missed that. That's funny. But yeah, he's a big collector. He's got a lot of stuff. It is amazing what you can do with rudimentary hand tools. I mean, this guy made stuff that was accurate to within 30 seconds a day in the 1700s. That's really hard to wrap your brain around. It really is. Using little files and all of the things that he needed to make happen. Jen Miller, good to see you. I love Elgin. Elgin, Bulova, Longines. There's a whole series of watches that fall into the class of watch that you can still pick up for $300 to $500. That 4 or 5 years from now, you're not going to be able to touch. I happen to love Elgin. I've got a ton of them. And I have a couple of Elgins that are probably as desirable Elgins as they make. Some of the early World War I officers' watches and things like that in remarkable shape. Just really, really great stuff. What am I wearing? Today I'm wearing a platinum Hamilton from the early teens with a diamond dial. It's really, really kind of a cool watch. It's probably worn more now by women than men. Old watches were really small. Watches didn't start getting larger until just recently. Deanna, blessed Nana, thank you. I appreciate that. Means a lot to me, and I mean that. It means a lot to me that all of you are as kind as you are. You know what, Cheshire Cat? This is a beautiful watch. I love this. I bought this watch at the first watch auction I ever went to, and I did so well from that watch auction. I really did. I made a killing that I ended up with about 4 watches, a ton of profit, and about 4 watches that I didn't need to sell. So I put huge price tags on them, more than they're worth. And this is one. This is one that I don't want to sell. I really don't. So I put a huge price tag on it. I'm probably asking about 900 more than it's worth. Somebody pulls the trigger, I'll have to live with it. But oh, you donated an Elgin, bummer. You know what? I love going to thrift stores and yards and yard sales because people sell watches and they have no idea. You know what I mean? And if they're broken, if I could buy these watches and fix them, that's usually where I make all of my money. If I buy ones that are not running and I get them running, there's a fortune in that. There really is. There's a fortune in that. And I think that years ago, that the scene when Trading Places, when Dan Aykroyd is trying to hawk his watch, that is priceless. Yeah, well, in Philadelphia, it's worth $125. But this is the premier sports watch of the 80s. Fantastic. Here in Philly, it's worth $125. Watch auctions? Are you kidding? I could take you to 5 watch auctions a day, my brother. I could take you to 5 watch auctions a day, 365 days a year. Wow, Michelle Lim, you don't seem very happy. Is it something we said? Swiss International. Do you mean IWC, International Watch Company? Because IWC is a really, really big company and a really, really good one. Estate sales are huge. Estate sales are absolutely huge. I do wear cologne. I usually wear Acqua di Gio or I wear Polo and all of their different stuff. Mark Wahlberg has about 10 paddocks. With 10 paddocks, you could buy almost any home in America. That's a true story. I mean, you can live just about anywhere for 10 paddocks. And if they happen to be really sick ones, forget about it. I mean, crazy. There are 12 and $13 million paddocks. The most expensive paddock that has ever sold at auction was $39,900,000. Was at last I heard. If it's been beat, It would have had to have been beat very recently, but it was one of the grand complications actually. But it sold at a charity auction for $39,900, which is a decent amount of money. I happen to think Mark Wahlberg is all right. He's a quitter, is he? Listen, he left the Super Bowl early. Ouch! Never live that down. Oh, he will never live that down. J9, if you knew, that was a real thing for me. When I lived in the last state I was in, the city I was in, I was sort of the old person watch guy because I don't rip people off. So people would call me and say, "This is what I got my sock to," and I would go down and say, "That's worth a fortune." I can't give you a fortune. I can give you this, and very often they would sell to me anyway because everybody else lied to them. And I would just go in and say, "That watch is worth $10,000, and there's no chance I could give you that." Because I have to make a living too, but I could give you 5. And then I would say, but shop it around to everybody else and call me back because everybody else is going to say to them, "Oh, those aren't selling these days. And they're not popular like they once were. I'll give you $1,300. It is hard to find a watchmaker. There's a lot of truth to that. It is a dying art. There aren't a lot of people that do it. And because it is very difficult to find parts, people are getting out of it. I go to auctions just to buy watch parts too. I have more watch parts than I know what to do with. It's a storage issue. For real, it is. What's special about old railroad watches? What's special about old railroad watches are if they didn't run on time, trains killed each other. Like, think about it. You had to switch the line at such and such a time. These were tools. They weren't watches. And their accuracy had to be within 4 seconds a day or 3 seconds a day or whatever, it was set to at that time. So these were the first watches that were actually being, tested one watch at a time to be the equivalent of a chronometer, right? A certified watch that once they got it, I mean, if you thought about how it was back in the day, not everybody had a watch, right? That was something for rich people. Later on, they came out with what was called the dollar pocket watch, and it made it so that just about everybody could have one. But in the early days, that's just not how it was. It was something for very wealthy people to have or workers. So railroad watches, those guys had more accurate watches than the richest people in town, but they weren't fancy. Those movements were inside Silveroid cases, and I've got a couple of unbelievable railroad watches. I have a Bunn Special, which is like the Rolls Royce of railroad watches. It's a really solid movement. They had more jewels than other watch movements because of the need for accuracy and the need to make sure that they never ran down, which was, it was a very, very important thing. These things were tools. They weren't just watches. And there was about 1,000 of them, right? They didn't make a ton of that particular model. And they're very good watches, and they keep incredible time. And to this day, if you have one, they're as accurate as anything you could buy. Hey, Cemetery, are you telling me that you're planning on taking yourself out, brother? What are you telling me? Because that's frightening stuff. It really is. Right? All right, people, I'm going to have to wrap this up so I can call this gentleman. All right? Because that's frightening. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. This here, that's Squirrel. She's a cat in a basket. All right? I will see all of you on the next one. I'm sorry I don't have time to read through the super chats. It's a bummer, but that's frightening. So I'm going to make that phone call. All right. I love all of you. Thank you for all the super chats, people. I am really bummed out that I can't read these. All right. But tell you what, Calhoun, take it from here. Would you take my face off the screen and read out the super chats? They would be in this section right there, bud. You see those? Take me on.
Well, I'm going to read all these. Thank you, Jen, for the 5 memberships. We really appreciate you. I'm pretty sure he knows that, Gene. Thank you so much. Moni with the $7.99. Jason P, thank you for the memberships. Appreciate you. I've been here, but busy as heck. Much love, Tommy, and to the boat. Thanks, brother. John, member for 12 months, praying for you, Tommy. I love this boat. We love you, man. Gene Strong with another $2. We are happy you are here. We're happy you're here, Gene. Thanks, guys. And Moni, sending love, light to you, Tommy. Lots of prayers. Glad to see you back from Perth, Western Australia. And we got a lot of Australia in the house. Lisa Trimble, $10. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Tommy, Best Buy. I sent the email. Let's connect. Lisa Trimble, do what you need to do. Take care of yourself. When you get scared, give a quick thought. I'll be sending love and prayers every time. We need you. Thanks, Lisa. Now the lifeboat is saving lives, dummy. Damn right. Are you in a good place right now? Kimberly, I think he's doing all right. Susie Thurman, Oberholtz. I sat with my bestie who's male in the hospital 6 days and Nighthawks. Moo hubby. My hubby get us food, my clothes, etc. Gossipy, judgy people suck. Take care of you. Thanks, Susie. Cat ACDC fan. Mob mentality, it's a real thing. You don't want to take away from your purpose. I'm sorry this happened. Love and best wishes, Tommy. I think it's going to be all right, Cat. Thank you so much for your well wishes. Godfax podcast. I believe God crossed our paths with purpose. Amen. Thanks, Godfax. Tampa Girl. Thank you so much, Tampa Girl. Gene Strong, we love you. Wingtips are my jam. Holly Moore, listening and driving, you sound better tonight at Tommy. Thanks, Holly. Cemetery. Hello, I'll be here for a few. I don't know when the next time I'll come back. Maybe I'll become MIA. I don't know what you're talking about there, Cemetery, but I'm pretty sure my pops is giving you a call right now. SG. Thanks, SG. All right, y'all. What a show. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I guess we'll see you soon. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe. And we love each and every one of you. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.